Welcome to the podcast. This is a prop. Today, I got lots of things I'd like to talk about. Oh man, where do I even begin? I'm gonna set the prop down because this is totally professional. I got busy. I did a ton of logistical things. So, what I decided to do was I was also late on my taxes, and I went for an extension, just so I could wrap it all up. But as a business owner, I need to be more on top of these businesses and expenses and all the logistics of this, including also organizing. So, gosh, I guess we're just diving right in, aren't we? Yeah, I guess this is the personal story, right? But the long story short of it is, I feel much better organized on how to handle work projects, and therefore, knowing how to as well create a nice system. So whenever I have a new project, let's start up something in Notion, where there's I have a project template, and I have the project origin. Is this one of my projects, or is this something for work? And if it's something for work, is it, say, Clint, is the aperture, etc. And then from there, there's a ton of details that I can write down as well. But then, also on the other side, too, for expenses. So, I have a hard time keeping track of my expenses, something that oh man, I've been notorious for it. So, now I actually have a particular way of tracking those expenses. So, I'm pretty hyped. I've been using Wave for 2 weeks now, and for the most part, it's fairly intuitive. You scan your receipt and you're good to go. And I also have my bank accounts all connected, so yeah, it's all nice and automated. And it made going to H&R Block this past year so much easier. And I also found out that I lost money, so cool. Oh boy. I also found out that if a company continues to lose money, that after 5 years, the government will not count a lot of these purchases that I'm making as expenses, but they will instead count them as just an expensive hobby, and I can't expense them. So that's good to know. But that's where circuit breakers kind of comes in, because my passion is making these sci-fi cassette futurism oriented shorts. I would love to do that. I would love to pursue a similar life to Brandon Rogers, to Vivian, to Corridor Digital, especially old school Corridor. And I feel like this podcast is going to help me make a kind of like a production diary. There's a plane above me. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. Thanks. Can you see the iPhone? I don't know if you can see the iPhone or not. Cheers, everybody. This is just coffee. It's just my homemade, home brewed, Hawaiian, island vintage coffee, along with a splash of coconut syrup and macadamia nut milk. And it is caffeinated this time. Because I've heard that, decaf coffee is actually not good for you. Something like that. Anyways, welcome everybody. My name is Lo-Fi, and welcome back to the podcast. And then I'm going to fast forward to where I left off. Alright, now that the plane's gone. Yeah, so I'll have more details about circuit breakers here soon. But first, now that I've got all the logistical talk out of the way, I want to talk about some more fun stuff. So, last podcast, I was talking about my heartbreak, and it was at the end of March, right before 2 giant trips. My first trip is to Montreal. The second trip is to Las Vegas. But first, Montreal. So, gosh, all of April just flew out of my head because it really did take a lot of energy, but a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun over in Montreal. I got to meet Circuit and Fouchier again. I also got to meet Ro and Brio, and for the most part, it was a really fun trip. There were a few complications here and there, but I'll focus more so on the goods. So, actually, I guess the funny story is I slept at an airport my first night. I've never had my flight canceled. I've had it postponed, sure. And I had a friend, like, redo, like, the whole way of how to get to my destination, sure. But I've never straight up canceled a flight and then postponed it to something else. So this was a first for me. But in that, I slept at an airport while working on some visual effects for Aperture because I'm a workaholic that doesn't know how to take a break. And then I finally got to Montreal. Gosh, it was really fun. It was really cool to see those guys again. Really refreshing, too. It was the first time, I guess since, like, Emerald City, that I got to, like, really vibe out with fellow robots. But this felt different. I'm in a whole other country, and I get to experience a little bit of their culture. Half of everything was French. In fact, I think the majority of everything was French, not just half. And, gosh, it was so cool. We did a lot of stuff, did a lot of photos. The actual... Okay, so I guess, like, the origin of this trip was for the eclipse. And, when we got to see the eclipse, like, it was really cool. It was an experience that I would recommend everyone have at least once in their life. I don't know about twice. I think it is cool, but it's like one of those things where, like, okay, I've seen it, and then you can see videos of it. Maybe that's just me, and I just freshly experienced it, and maybe I'll feel different about it in, like, 10 years from now. But I was mostly going on this trip just to see my friends, and I'm really happy that I did because I miss them. And we got to do a lot of fun things together, between going to cafes, and drinking a lot. Got a lot of cool photos and video as well. And just toured around old Montreal. In fact, like, okay, Montreal was pretty neat. Love the cafes there. They got some really cool ones there. My favorite cafe, I think, would be this Penguin Cafe. They had, like, a tree in the middle of everything, and then, like, the vines had, like, expanded over the ceiling. It was pretty sweet. The architecture, God, the architecture's so cool. Everything has, like, a sense of brutalistic, like, old style, like, architecture. And I'm not sure if that's just because, like, oh, hey, French Canadian, they have, like, different people there, and therefore different architecture. Because, like, it almost felt like a weird, not American. It's, like, not obviously hardcore European, but it's not quite hardcore American either. It's like this weird in between. And then, like, having brutalist architecture there as well is, like, something different. And as someone who's a fan of brutalist architecture, I soaked everything up. And then we saw this, 2 ramen bars, or restaurants. One was fine, but the second one was really cool because it straight up looked like it was from Blade Runner. Like, not even Blade Runner 2049. I mean, like, it is 1987, and we see, like, brick, we see, like, a lot of old analog stuff, which I have a comment on that later, but it was really cool. It was pretty sweet. Overall, really good trip, though. I got some footage and some photos from it that I haven't posted yet, but luckily Fuchsia and Brio have been posting, so thanks, guys. Yeah, overall, it was a good trip. Let's see. I got home that morning. So I was there for only a couple of days, and once I got some visual effects done for work, for the most part, we were chilling, we were vibing, but we were also releasing Sidus Link Pro, so that's fun. I skipped sleeping. I think I drank a little bit, slept a little bit while on the plane, but otherwise I didn't get really any sleep. I got home, and, like, I think just my adrenaline was just running, so it worked out. But only a few days after that, I am heading over to Las Vegas for NAB. For context, I've never been to NAB before. I have only been to Cinegear, which usually takes place in Los Angeles, and it was a whole expanded experience. Las Vegas is nothing that I was expecting. I had arrived, I touched down, and straight up, I smell cigarettes, and I see slot machines at the freaking airport. Like, what the heck? Like, really? I knew, like, you know, Las Vegas is like the city of sin. It's got all of the slot machines. It has all the casinos, but I didn't imagine like it would be at a freaking airport. So okay, that's interesting. Um, but I get there, I tour around a little bit of NAB, but I'm mostly just there for work. So I have my laptop open, and I got my. So I guess for context, I'm helping out with Aperture's edits, or at least some of the edits. They have like a booth with a couple of TVs, like one in their meeting room, one in their bar area, in their fake set. And I thought, oh, that'd be really cool to, like, or not thought, but they hired me to say, hey, we need a video to display on the TV, so can you make that? Sure, absolutely. But I was primarily there to help out Amaran in terms of just manning the booth. So we didn't get our t-shirts in time, so I got my button-up shirt, and I got a little patch for Amaran, and then a little pin that says staff, and then I just wait until someone shows up at the booth, and I say, hey, have you used our lights before? Or, hey, how's it going? How's your NAB experience and whatnot? So that was a lot of fun. It was pretty cool. But that was pretty much it for like 4 days straight. Most of the other exciting elements happened after that. So again, I've never been to Las Vegas, so touchdown, start downloading footage for work, meet up with the gang, go to the hotel. I stayed at the Horseshoe Hotel with my friend Alec, and God, the amount of smoke there, it stank. It stank so freaking. As someone who doesn't smoke, it just stained of cigarettes. And I thought it was from the 70s. I thought like, oh man, wow, yeah, it stinks in here. And I guess the stain was just so bad, and who cares? It's Vegas. And there's so many slot machines everywhere. Oh no, it turns out people are still like smoking in the building. Like, that's just a thing. All right, cool, sure. This really is like the land of sin. This is fun. I drop off my stuff at the hotel room and walk around, have fun, go to work. Every morning, get to the booth at around like 8 to 8:30. Doors officially open by 10, and doors more or less officially close by 6. And so, during the event, outside just promoting, like, hey, have you used that Amaran and aperture lighting? I would also just, in general, talk to people, like, hey, what do you shoot? That's really cool. Met a few Seattleites, which is really fun. As someone who is in this Seattle area, I thought, like, oh, yo, that's really cool. Like, there's, like, film representation around here. That's awesome. And I might be talking to a few more of them soon, so that'll be fun. More collaborations. On the filmmaking level, too, which is, like, unheard of if you're not in Atlanta or Los Angeles, so let's go. But, let's see, after that, usually after work, things get busy, so immediately I would usually try to meet up with some friends. We'd go out for a drink, or maybe it's some form of networking event. So I think like the first or second night, there's another plane. What the heck? Anyhoozle, so, hi. Feel free to keep, I'll move out of your way. Feel free to keep walking if you want. I'm just recording a video. Yeah, for sure. No, you're good. She seems nice. Anyhoozle. Right, after work. So, yeah, one of the first nights I was there, I'm just editing into the night. Second night I was there, I went to Whataburger. No, not Whataburger. In-N-Out. That's the one. For a cool meetup with Dave Mays, or I think he just goes by Dave, and then his last name. I think he just goes by Dave now. Which is really cool, because like I haven't seen him since the old Indie Mogul days. But after that, went back to the hotel, got some visual effects. I'm sorry, some motion graphics done. That was really cool. And then, gosh, all these nights blend in together just because so much had happened in such a condensed amount of time. I think my second or third night, let's just say the next night. Oh, that's right, there was the Aperture after party, which I've heard really cool things, but also happens during the same time as the B&H after party. And I keep hearing these rumors like, oh, hey, you gotta go to the B&H party. And I'm like, what the heck is that? Like, I've heard of B&H, and in case you haven't, it's a store where you can get a bunch of like photography and film gear from, but I didn't know they had an after party. That's really cool. and I hear like, oh, this is super lit, this is the coolest thing ever, you gotta go there, because like that's where you can go and network and like meet up with other like creators. And I'm like, oh yo, that sounds really cool. Find out that like if you like try to get in without a bracelet, you can't get in, so you have to find someone who has a bracelet or is passing out bracelets. And by the time I found somebody to ask for a bracelet, they're like, hey, sorry, we're not giving it to like companies right now. We're trying to give it to like more or less randos or people or creators that, you know, aren't part of a corporation. So I'm like, well, god dang it, all right. That's fine, that's cool. Honestly, something else cooler happened after that, but at the time I was thinking, man, okay, well, good to know, I'll try again next year or something. Plus, I also found out that half of the Aperture team, I think, went to that after party anyways. Like, they went to the Aperture party, and then half of them, I think, went to the B&H after party, because, like, that is a, like, huge thing to go to. So I'm like, yeah, makes sense. But, anywho, so, yeah, we wrap up work, we go to the Aperture after party, and then, throughout that whole time, though, I, am getting text messages between my friends, and my friends are saying, yo, let's go to Meow Wolf. And I'm like, oh my god, yes, let's go to Meow Wolf. I am so excited about Meow Wolf because Omega Mart. It is one of the coolest experiences I have ever, like, done. So I arrive, it's like 8 p.m., I'm, like, rushing from the after party just to get to this spot. They already started, they're already inside this mall. I get to area 15, rush inside, accidentally take out one of the fences, try to like put it back up real quick, and then duck inside. Oh man, cool, all this neon lighting. Shit, where am I going? Run around, get to Omega Mart, and I'm like, right, I have my backpack on, I look like I just got off of work, because I did, more or less, and they're like, hey, we gotta check your bag, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm trying to catch up with my friends here, let's go! Get inside the Mart, deliver my backpack, I get a ticket, and then I'm able to explore. I am able to meet up with my friends later, but it did give me a chance to explore the Mart itself, and it's just a grocery store, except, is it really a grocery store? This Mart actually has like a lot of weird, funky, warped, like, objects or products. So you get like a soda can called Gender Fluid. You get a can of water, and it's like Liquid Death, which actually I have heard of Liquid Death, like outside Omega Mart, but it's really cool that they've included that here, because as far as I know, Meow Wolf and Omega Mart are like, they're after just showing art exhibits, or people's art on like indie level, on like a LGBTQ level, and they're expanding to have like just weird stuff happen within like a story, but more on that later. So I explore around, I do what everyone else does, which is like, oh man, I'm exploring like the products, and then I go to the soda, like the back where like they keep all the refrigerators, open up the refrigerator, and I'm like, what the heck, there's like a whole tunnel behind here. And I'm with my friends, we're exploring like this cool office, and then like this sci-fi factory, and then there's a cave made of like glass or some time shenanigan. We're playing like this cool music thing, this control panel that controls like music beats and stuff, and then, gosh, it was so cool. And then, since I've made a couple of videos with the Punisher, Clinton Jones, he and I were gonna meet up for this VFX thing, but we met up earlier than that. Like, it turns out he went to Meow Wolf as well, and I see none other than him, Jay, and Ren, and I'm like, what the heck, yo, it's like a little mini, like, Corridor meetup. And as huge fans of Corridor, that was a cherry on top. That was really cool. I was like, there's no freaking way. Like, I think I knew that he was gonna go, because, like, we were in contacts, and I was asking, like, oh, yo, you coming to NAB? But, it wasn't intentional to meet up there. It was just, like, a cool little coincidence. But, yeah, we explored the rest of Omega Mart, and then went downstairs. There were, like, 3 floors. It was actually kind of hard to tell, like, wait, which floor are we on? What's going on? And then grab a drink. The store closes, so I'm like, oh my goodness, let me just grab so much here, because Omega Mart is, like, it's one of the coolest experiences ever. So I had to grab something to remember the occasion. Not that I could forget. And then that's the wrap of that day. That was a lot. Other bits of Las Vegas. So I'm hanging out with my friend Alec and his friend Connor. We go to, it's like the Chandelier or something. No, that's a different thing. I did go to the Chandelier, actually. A bar that almost looks like a jellyfish. It's like a bar that's inside a chandelier, and it's all purple and pink, so it kind of looks like you're inside a jellyfish. I met Hennessy and Craig, who was a part of Film Convert. And I'm like, yo, I've used Film Convert. Like, that's freaking cool. I actually got to meet the creator and then, like, someone who works for the company. That's amazing. So, hey, if you guys want to collab, hit me up. But, yeah. That was I think on the first night. But with Alec and Connor, we went to a club that straight up looks like it's from Mass Effect. It was one of the coolest things ever. And like these rings are spinning around. We walk around like the top floor, then we go to like the bottom floor, we get into the mosh pit, we dance. It was like 3 in the morning. I'm freaking tired, but at the same time I'm like, I'm in Vegas for like one more night. Let's just go all out party hard. There's another night that we had like the Aperture after party. And this is like not the secret party. That's a party that like anyone could go to if you know, then you know. But this was like a company dinner in which I got to see the majority of everyone there. I did not see Steven or Malia, but I do miss them. But I got to see the majority of everybody else, and it was really cool to see the whole gang again. And it was cool to see Ted. Like, I get I get a little flustered when Ted's around because I'm like, oh man, you're so cool. But then like, man, you're like CEO now. It's like, can I still talk to you on like a casual level? And every now and then we got like a brief conversation when we were at NAB, but it was very brief. So I would love to at some point just hang out with him again, just on a casual level. But otherwise, the last thing I did in Las Vegas right before going back to the there's a squirrel over there. Hello, please don't attack me. I've heard stories. The last thing I did in Las Vegas, I discovered there is a Rainforest Cafe. And for those who don't know, I love the Rainforest Cafe. It is one of the coolest, borderline just casual, just fine food eatery spot. But like, the vibe is the coolest thing ever. You're in a rainforest. It's so fun. How could you not? And sure, yeah, oh man, this is like a 12-year-old for a human being, but I don't care. It's great. Why not? So I literally go there with all my bags. It's heavy. I got my satchel. I got my giant backpack. I packed up everything at the hotel already. Walked over there. Okay, now let's just relax before going to the airport to go back home. And it was one of the coolest experiences ever. I also have a hat from there too. Found out about it like literally the day of. No, it was the previous night. I heard from my buddy Tway, hey, they like there's a rainforest. Oh no. My story is getting all mixed up. But long story short, I heard that there was a Rainforest Cafe in Las Vegas. Turns out it is walking distance from the Horseshoe, so I'm like, yeah, done. I'm walking over there. And then I just vibe out. It was so nice. Tried out one of their drinks. And sure, their food is more or less like a standard Red Robin quality food item, but like, I don't care. I'm there for the vibe. It was sweet. Did some notes, and then packed all of my things up, and then went back home. And then I think I just crashed after that. Then I just went back to work. And that was pretty much it. So, yeah. April was pretty crazy. Didn't have a lot of time to do circuit breaker stuff, but now that we're in the month of May, I feel like I am more capable of doing so. And now that I have a lot of the logistical stuff set up too, I feel a lot more freeing in pursuing a lot of these creative endeavors. So, whew, let's go. So, I had mentioned earlier about describing more about, is it raining? It better not be. Omega Mart. One of the biggest eye-opening things about Omega Mart was this weird, like, lived-in universe. It's so surreal, so liminal, and bonkers, and there's so much, like, sci-fi coolness built into it. And there's a giant story behind it as well. As far as just Omega Mart's concerned, or for my concern about Omega Mart, human phrasing, it's great, or English. The story that I gathered is, like, there's 2 worlds. There's our world, and then there's, like, these alien world, or, like, dimensions, I want to say. Not worlds, but, like, the dimensions. And there's, like, the other dimension. So, like, they're starting to merge. What's going on? This is a little bit weird. There's, like, this goo thing from either the merge of dimensions or from the other dimension that is kind of it's aided alien technology in their dimension. And in our dimension, it like morphs and warps reality. Hence why there's like a lemon with eyeballs. There are these soda bottles that start to like curve down around their neck and it starts to almost look like a dinosaur. Or there's a cardboard box that suddenly has like tentacles, like, and now there's a boat. Okay. And now there's these tentacles like crawling out of a cardboard box, but it's a part of the cardboard box and not just like containing it or whatever. It's just weird. But like there's this whole thing where that was way back in the past. There's this monolith that no one really quite knows what's the story behind that for. And that's like ancient times. Fast forward to like the future where you have Omega Mart. There's like this company that like, I guess maybe the science facility that like found the goop, started experimenting, uses like humans to like experiment, and then created Omega Mart to more or less have like a public front for more experimentations. And there's a whole other side to it that like I'm not explaining it very well, but it's cool. It's like if you want like the lore of, say, FNAF meets Control with a lot of weird space surrealism. It's like a weird blend of everything. And it also mixes in like the art exhibit as well, which is pretty cool. Because there's one room that straight up looks like it's almost from Control with like less brutalistic lighting and more like neon lit lighting. But like you can see, say, a lounge area. You can investigate some of the scientists' desks and whatnot. And it's like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. Like, I want to know more about the story. What is this about? And so, it's just neat. It's just cool. It, like, flipped a switch in my mind. I think I need to make circuit breakers a little bit more real. One, it just made me a fan of Meow Wolf and Omega Mart. And then two, it inspired me because I felt like in my story, I have a lot of these characters that have these surreal telekinetic like abilities that are reality bending, but they're also robots. Like, how random is this? I don't think I could probably pass for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure randomness, but like it is still pretty cool how much I could probably get away with. So that is probably the biggest thing is my new directive with circuit breakers is to make it a little bit more weird, embrace that weirdom, and then maybe even embrace some elements of nostalgia, because I think the biggest thing was like it feels like a grocery store from like the 90s or the early 2000s, and currently it being 2024, we're very nostalgic for a lot of these older things. In fact, like the 80s nostalgia has more or less started to fade away. That's like old news. Now it's like 90s and 2000s. So that's what I'm going to start diving into. In which I have my character lineup, but I want to expand upon it more. I have not dived into learning CGI yet. Every time I start another donut tutorial, I just keep dropping it, so I feel like at this point I just need to like either start another tutorial or just dive in and like, oh hey, I got a project, let's matte paint the background. Okay, well I don't know how to matte paint, let's just like look up a tutorial specifically for matte painting. But at the same time, that donut tutorial does teach the basics. So, I don't know, maybe I just gotta figure that out. But in doing so, while I am continuing to write for circuit breakers, I still have a ton of old projects I want to update and finish, along with I want to start some new projects, aka I want to start content creating, and I hate that word content, but for the sake of ease, I want to start making some regular uploadable videos that still demonstrate a little bit of art form and some behind the scenes as well. That's probably the hardest thing that I have encountered, is figuring out that balance between like the fictional robots universe and behind the scenes content of this robot universe, because I like exploring a lot of this stuff. I like cosplay, I like sound design, I like photography, I like filmography. I just don't know how do I merge all that stuff together in a way that makes sense, that's not just, hey guys, here's my portfolio, you know? And admittedly, at the end of the day, I would love to make this the full-time job. As I mentioned, like Brandon Rogers and Corridor Digital and Vivian, like all of them, in my opinion, like they've done it. You've done it. Congratulations. Like you're making like narratives. Just on a way that's on an online platform that is self-sustaining. Like, that's so cool. Like, the dream right there. So that's my next adventure. While I logistically as well, I want to like add in maybe an hour or two either per day or at least 5 hours per week on more of my own type of work. So while I am expanding, seeing if I can work and collaborate with other filmmakers, creators, and robots, I do want to continue working on circuit breakers and in my own art as well. So join me on that journey. I guess one thing I've always like wanted to do was document what it's like to just try to figure things out. And I've also been incredibly nervous too. Like, is this going to work? I don't know. I'm just gonna not do it. Maybe I can do it. I don't know. And then I just end up not doing anything, and I just sat around thinking too much rather than doing. So this is me trying to do more. Hence why I'm creating this podcast, and why I'm creating, at least trying out, a zine, or zine, it's a zine, and a couple of other things too. So keep a lookout for a lot of cool, nifty content coming out. I'm also going to try to stop saying content. For the sake of content creating, sure, that's like a blanket statement. But really, I want my stuff to feel like it is my own self-expression, and people can relate to it. And if people can relate to it, awesome. At the end of the day, that's what I want to do, is just relate to others. So, here we are. My last topic, though, is myself. Lo-fi. Hey. The other, I think what's stopping me between the content stuff too is I'm trying to figure out the difference between lo-fi the character and then lo-fi me. Because, you know, there's me, there's, hi, me, I'm in reality, I am making this video, you're watching it, and I am making this web series. But I am also a fictional character in which I am a robot in this postmodern, cassette futuristic world where there's 7 mega corporations, and I got all of my robot and alien friends and object head friends, and we're just trying to make this work. And I think that's been fairly confusing for people. Like, even my friend Shane was talking about how, like, okay, you have lo-fi, but you have all this behind-the-scenes stuff. Well, what's the biggest difference between lo-fi and behind-the-scenes stuff? Like, I want to watch more narrative stuff. I don't want to watch behind-the-scenes stuff. Likewise, there are people that are like, hey, I want to watch more behind-the-scenes stuff, but what is this weird lo-fi thing? What is going on here? So, that's been something, and hence why I've even gone back to, like, studying... Ooh, is there somebody else going up? No, I don't think so. That's why I've been going back to, like, hey, how do I, like, start a business in a way? Or what's a way to create a content strategy, and the thing that I keep seeing is like, okay, well, who's your target audience? Who's your buyer persona? Who is this Jimmy guy? Oh, Jimmy's this yada, yada, yada. Okay, well, talk to Jimmy. There's like a lot of stuff I've been going back and researching on that front. But I think I'm getting to a point now where I'm like, okay, let's just try things out. Let's keep making, keep experimenting. You've thought about it enough. I think the one thing that I will keep thinking about is like circuit breakers as a universe, just continuously expanding that. But yeah, I think it'd be good to start creating the art that I finally want to make, and if I don't know how to make it, then figure it out. Yeah, I'd say that's good. Well, so sorry, I got into like a thinking phase here, but what time is it? I should probably wrap it up soon. Thank you everyone for watching. The theme of this episode, I suppose. Oh man, off the top of my head, I even had one written down, but I think the theme is a little bit different here. Just go and express yourself. And I think in expressing yourself, you have to go and experience a lot of stuff. So go out there, experience life, go make stuff, and what you make is going to be a reflection of you and your experiences. So here's to both of us creating something cool and awesome. Okay. Oh, and then I forgot. I got a disposable camera. Took 20 or 26 or however many film options or opportunities are in that. But yeah, I took the lens out of that and then I modified it and I put it on an actual lens cap. Ta-da! So I guess if I'm thinking out loud here, I have a couple of like content ideas. Like one's going to be a lens comparison between like, oh hey, here's the disposable camera lens versus my Sigma lens, just for fun. And then one was going to be, which I'll do like once I get back home, is like, oh my god, the cassettes, futurism. No one told me this was the name of the thing that I loved and all that. And then I know I got some photos of Rotim, so that'd be really fun to share. But I'm also wondering, wait, does that fit the quote lo-fi brand? So that's something. I'm even thinking as well of like rebranding again from MozaicStudios to Lo-Fi the filmmaking robot to then possibly even a quote company, an in-universe company for circuit breakers where like, I don't know, within the story there's like dimension hopping. That's absolutely a thing that's been established early in the show. But some content ideas that I've had is like in-universe commercials. So similar to Omega Mart, where there's like custom-made commercials and custom props and buyable products at this Mart, I could probably do something like that. That'd be really fun. But I just got to figure out what that is, and is that the direction I want to go as well, or is this one of those ideas that I tried and don't? But then again, maybe I'm thinking too much, and I just got to go and make it. So, hey, you and I, whatever art that you're making, let's go and make it. Whether it's music, whether it's drawing, whether it's animating. Animation's really freaking cool. Film, photo film, digital film, whatever the case is, like, go out there, make your stuff, and let's inspire each other to continue to make stuff. Okay, now I think I'm done.